Well, I'm glad to hear that, though.
Yeah.
She'll be happy with it. The problem is she's got that older house and it's in the attic. I can't even understand how they got it in the attic. My husband said that they took it apart in pieces. And I'm like, I don't even want to think about this. I don't want somebody to have to go way up in this heat.
Yeah.
To do that. It's got to be horrible.
I can't. Yeah.
But I have
Not
a
very
feeling
fun.
it's shot. It's an old system.
Lori Samuelson.
Here.
Here. Kim. Here. Logan Swimmer. Here. Dave Schlemmer. Here. Chris Lamb.
Here.
Opportunity to review the minutes.
Yes.
Any modifications or changes?
There's one. Logan.
Oh. Oh, yeah, Logan's name was on there. Well, you were here in spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should be corrected then.
Good catch.
I didn't think you were here, but I saw your name on there, but.
Have a motion?
Move to approve minutes with the change of the attendee list.
All in favor?
Aye.
There changes? Hello?
Just push the button.
Yeah, it's showing red now.
Want to start over? Okay.
I don't believe we have any old business. We will open the public hearing for BZA standard variance 2025-004 staff report.
Thank you, sir. Jim Catterett, City Planner for Auburn. This request filed by Steve Lent, he represents Messenger LLC. They are requesting a development standards variance in order to install a 10-foot wood fence. It would be located on the north side of where their dumpsters currently are at. It's on the property at 318 East 7th Street. The variance request does require a public hearing. It was advertised in the Star on June 11th. There were actually 13 adjacent property owners notified of the request. This is just a photographic example of the style of fence they want to do. It's basically the shadow box style. The property itself is all zoned industrial. The adjacent properties to the west are residential. A couple of photographs just to illustrate the dumpsters. There's two dumpsters on the property that you'll see. This is actually looking east at the dumpsters. The fence would go where the tree line is at, so immediately behind the dumpsters. And that's a little closer view where the fence would go. It's not a fence to enclose the dumpsters. It's just a fence that would be along that north property line there, the north side of the dumpsters themselves. The staff didn't receive any public input on the notices that we sent or the legal notice. Again, the drawing there illustrates where the dumpsters are at. It's actually located between the house and the messenger's building. And again, it's only a short section of fence in order to provide a little bit of screening and containment for any materials that may be in the trash enclosure. I mentioned it's going to be the shadow box style of a fence. What the fence code allows the fence to be 8 foot in height. The dumpsters can be up to 8 foot in height as well, and that's why they're requesting the variance. They want it to be a little bit taller than the top of the dumpster. And again, it's trying to contain some of the materials that may get blown out of the trash enclosure. I think they're trying to work with the neighbors that have maybe some internal complaints that they're trying to address, be a good neighbor. So that's the purpose for this fence. Staff looking at it, 8 foot high fence is tall. That's the only area in the town that is allowed is industrial. Usually it's 6 foot. But then when you see where the dumpsters are located at, where the fence would be, it's not going to be visible for the public streets. But it's really, again, to assist the neighbors in making sure, elements in the dumpsters are contained. So staff looked at it. I think it's a reasonable request, and we do recommend the board accept the proposed findings of fact that we submitted for your consideration and approve the variance. We don't see any conditions that we would recommend.
Questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Will the applicant please come forward, introduce yourself, name and address, and spell your last name? And anything else you'd like to add?
Steve Lent from Messenger. Address is 1322 Shiraz Court in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm the director of operations, and we're proposing this to appease the neighbors, some concerns they've raised concerning trash that blows out of the dumpsters or in general comes through the lot and winds up in their property.
That's nice of you. Any comments, questions, concerns?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this? If not, we'll close the public meeting, 4004. Board discussion?
Oh, I'm not opposed to it. No.
You're better than the way it is now.
Yeah.
For this application, I see it being okay. I know the planning commission and the planning office has been very critical of mating materials and mesh materials for fencing and screening for trash cans and dumpsters lately, especially with the number of non-compliances that we've had. But this one, I think, just it's not a true trash enclosure and it's screening for the neighbors, so I think it's okay. But we're getting close to skirting that line for trashing. Yeah, full enclosure. It is the gateway corridor. Yeah. I think the full 7th might qualify. I thought I pulled it up and it did, but I'm not certain. But this seems reasonable.
The one looking east at the dumpster, the ground falls off a foot or two heading north anyhow, so you're losing some of that fence height.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Would you please read the findings of fact?
I guess, sir. The findings of fact worksheet for Messenger Standards Variance BZA Standards Variance 2025-4. Number one, the approval of the variance will or not ensure the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Not.
You wish to adopt a staff finding.
Yes.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will or will not be substantially affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
You wish to adopt the staff finding.
Yes.
And three, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
You wish to adopt that staff finding.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve BZA standard variance 2025-004.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now open the public hearing for BZA standard variance 2025-005.
Thank you. This application request filed by Spaltz Real Estate Management LLC as property owner. We're requesting a development standards variance to install what would be a 45-foot tall, 432 square foot in size freestanding sign on a currently undeveloped property at 527 Lay Drive. This is a lot just to the south of KDZ with frontage on Lay Drive and also frontage along the interstate highway. This variance request was advertised in the Star on June 11th and it has 6 adjacent property owners. The fence itself would be installed in what would be the southwest corner of the lot. You can scroll down. So it shows the fence, and this actually would be a V-shaped fence, so it would have, in essence, 2 sides to it. But it is at the back corner of the lot, close to the interstate highway, the off-ramp for northbound traffic. The property and all the surrounding property is zoned C2 commercial. A couple of photographs included in your packet. It's just showing the property line. This would be along the interstate highway. So there, about the location where the sign would go looking north, and this would be looking south. We did not receive any public input as a result of our notices. The sign would be a digital sign, and again, in essence, it is a billboard sign. We just don't classify our signs as billboards or off premise. A sign is a sign. We don't regulate what the sign says. We regulate how tall it is, how big it is, and its location. And so a sign is permitted on the property. A freestanding sign is permitted on the property. Currently, it's limited to 20 feet in height and 150 square foot in copy area, which is the message area. So he's asking to increase both the height and the square footage of the sign itself. There is a flat property that does show it's not recorded yet, but does show a utility easement that would be along the interstate highway. It's really being established for purposes of electrical service, to be able to run electrical service around the lot and get to the property to the south. It does limit the location of a sign where it's not allowed by right in that 20-foot area. They could request approval from the City Board of Works. It's a utility service agreement that lets individuals put an improvement within an easement. You often see it for fences where people want to install a fence. The concern that he has is just if we would allow, it would just make sure that we have separation from where the pole would be and where any buried electrical lines would be. So I just pointing that out to you. We're not necessarily approving the location of the sign with the variance. We're approving the height and the size of it. We'll have to work out the exact location where it could be with the property owner. Also, because it's along the corridor of the interstate, they would need to get the approval from the Department of Transportation, from INDOT. Applicant did submit proposed findings on the request. And, as staff looks at it, if there's any location to have a sign that would be taller than what our code would allow, it would be along the interstate highway. We wouldn't want to see a taller sign anywhere along 7th Street going into town or the other commercial corridors. Along the interstate highway, at least in staff's opinion, would be the appropriate location for a taller sign. So with that, we do recommend that you accept the staff proposed findings and approve the request for the sign. We do recommend 2 conditions. The first is, again, is if any portion of the sign is within a utility easement, approval from the Auburn Board of Public Works and Safety is required. And then second, that they obtain the approval from the Indiana Department of Transportation prior to placement of the sign. So it requires a local permit and the state permit. With that, that concludes staff report.
The V shape is just to make perpendicular line of sight for either direction.
That is correct. There's a limit as how open, there's an angle limitation, but there are a few of the signs along the interstate where you'll see that V shaped.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would the applicant please come forward, introduce yourselves, spell your last name, and any other information?
Good evening. Thanks so much. My name is Ben Smaltz Real Estate Management, spelled S-M-A-L-T-Z. My address is 302 Hunters Ridge here in Auburn, 46706. Thank you very much, Jim, for all the work you've done with me trying to get this to the right place. Just to review, it would be a 45-foot tall steel single post sign. We're trying to clear if you look in the pictures, you'll see there's a lot of tree, brush, shrub activity blocking. There's also a state directional sign talking about exit 329 that we're trying to clear as well. It is a V type sign, and that is so you have perpendicular line of sight for vehicles coming southbound as well as vehicles going northbound. But as we've designed it, we were aware that there is residential area, although it is well outside the state minimums of 300 feet. If we angle it properly, it will mitigate any sort of light that they may see. So we can, and when you look at the part of the documentation that you have, and you take the V lines out, you'll see that I've made sure to clear that the residence is behind. I think we still clear them by the state by about 50 or 60 feet. We're outside the 300 feet. It is a changeable board, which you've seen if you've gone to Indianapolis along I-69. It's a very best practice size is about 432 square feet. You'll see most of the signs are that size. They are typically 10 by 40 or just a little bit larger. They will not have some of the state rules that we have to follow. It will not have moving or flashing. So it won't be, the definition will be high enough that you could probably watch a football game on it. Similar to the sign north of here, almost into Michigan. Very high definition, very high tech, but it won't be flashing and it won't be moving copy. In between, each ad has to be at least 8 seconds, but most advertisers want time longer than that, but the state has said it must be at least 8 seconds, probably going to be closer to 10 or 12. As you drive through that corridor, 10 seconds is about your view before it would change. Message changes have to change within 2 seconds, so there wouldn't be blank, anything flashing in between. It would just fade out of one and fade into the other within 2 seconds. We're required to give the state of Indiana, INDOT, 2 24-hour contact numbers. So if there's any malfunction with the board at any time, they can contact us. We would be able to access the board from anywhere that we are. The board is internet based, so that we would be working wherever we are. We could turn the board off if we needed to. However, the board will have a light sensor. It has an automatic dimming mechanism to limit the brightness to 3/10 foot candles over ambient light. So it's only 30%, is a kind of good way to look at it, brighter than what the ambient light is at 250 feet. I also know that we've got Auburn regulations that we have to follow as well, and we'll do that. If there is a malfunction, the sign will automatically freeze dark. So it won't be like, when your TV, something goes wrong in your TV and it's kind of fritzy. It won't do that. It'll go dark. It'll go a single solid color, but it'll always stay at 3/10 foot candles over ambient light. This will be a conforming sign for the state. The state has 2 different types of signs, conforming and non-conforming. Non-conforming is a sign that's already there and regulations have changed over time. This is one that we're conforming with the most current rules that the state of Indiana has established. We have applied with INDOT. I've talked with INDOT. They've reviewed our application as well. They know that we're running parallel to one another. So the state is behind Auburn. So we're doing Auburn, and hopefully the outcome is positive, and then we'll go to the state and ask for their permission as well. I am aware of limitations that if we do have to extend over the utility easement, that I would have to go to Board of Works. That's something new that Jim and I have been working on, doing a secondary plat for this lot so that we can create that utility easement on the far end, the far west end, so that the property to the south of us can begin development. We're not ready yet. They are. So we're trying to hustle and do the surveys. I've been working with Brett Miller Consulting, talked to him today. I think you may have talked with him today. So we're trying to get that. If I didn't do that, I would be able to put the sign without asking for Board of Works, but it seems reasonable that we would want to allow that easement in the back. We want power back there too. And then if we decided that we wanted to plant the sign inside our building lines and it extends out over the utility easement, we would ask for the approval of the Board of Works. So we really want to have a nice sign. We've been in the sign business before. I owned signs in Auburn for 20 years. We are always careful about maintaining them, keeping them in very good shape. We had good advertisers. When the wind would tear our vinyls up, we were very quick about replacing them, so it didn't ever look ratty. When we were in control of it, we were very careful about we love Auburn, so we're not trying to look trashy. So we were very careful about making sure that we think it would be really cool to put a sign out there encouraging travelers to stop at some of our businesses here in Auburn. We think it would be super cool if we were advertising a cruise in or the fair, or if ACD Festival wanted to advertise out there, just to tell the story more to travelers that, don't drive by us. There's something cool here to see, and we'd be able to do it more than if we just put one vinyl face up. We could do it for more people as people travel up and down I-69. So that's our pitch, and that's what we're hoping that we're going to be able to do. And I certainly be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a question that has nothing to do with this really, but but you mentioned, I think it's a great idea to have events and bring more people in. But are you going to charge for the event, like if it's a nonprofit kind of thing?
So what we would like to do is, my wife and I talked about it. And we believe that 10% of our face value would be something that we could do for nonprofits.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
thank you.
that'll be part of our business plan to do that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Questions?
As the capitalist in the family, that wasn't my idea. Just have to be clear. That was somebody else's idea. I can't take credit for that.
Yeah.
Her idea.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Questions, comments, just board discussion? No. Oh, yes. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against the project? If not, I'll close the public hearing for 005 for discussion.
This makes sense in that area.
Sounds like a nice sign.
Sounds like a nice idea.
Sounds like he's done his homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at that.
Well, like they do in Kentucky, they're 300 yards off the road, but they're 500 down the road. And I hope we don't let that happen here. We're just billboard sign after sign after sign.
Big need 4 lanes for that.
Okay, Gene, would you please read the findings of fact?
Yes, sir. This is the findings of fact worksheet for 527 Lay Drive standards variance. BZA standards variance 2025-5. Number one, the approval of the variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Will not.
We should adopt the staff finding.
Yes.
Yes.
Two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
We should adopt the staff finding.
Yes.
And three, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
We should adopt that staff finding.
Yes.
Those are the findings.
Okay. Entertain a motion regarding the findings.
I would move to approve BZA standard variance 2025-005 with the 2 staff conditions presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Good luck.
Hey, thank you very much. I sure appreciate your time.
Yep.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. BZA standard variance 2025-006.
This application was filed by Continental Tire. They are requesting a development standards variance to install a fence within the 15th Street front yard setback area for the facility, which has a street address of 725 West 11th Street. Again, this variance was advertised at the Star on June 11th, and there were 9 adjacent property owners since notice. The property itself, this is the proposed fence plan coming up on the screen. So they're making some improvements to the south side of the facility along 15th Street, which would include a couple of new driveway accesses to the facility off of 15th Street. They've received approval from the Planning Commission for those new access drives. They're trying to separate. They have 2 different operations within the facility that they need to separate as far as entrances, parking areas, truck docks, etc. So the area that's currently south side of the building is kind of open and drivable. They're going to be fencing some of those areas off with gates. The fence that's currently there, been there for a long time, is a non-conforming fence because we don't allow fences within a front yard setback area of the height and type that they currently have. So they want to replace what they have, but actually add to it a little bit. The fence would remain along 15th Street, but they'd actually have some north-south dividers of their parking areas, if you would, with additional fencing. And the site plan does show that. They're expanding some parking areas on the south side of the building as well. And again, just trying to separate the operations of the facility. But because the fence is not conforming, when they take it down, they can't simply replace it. They needed to either, well, the only option was to request the variance that they have before you. A couple of photographs just real quickly. This does show the existing fence. This is the one, what will be a new access drive. Right now, there's not a curb cut for this. This is the one closest to the railroad tracks. This is simply looking down 15th Street. Again, you can see the existing fence. It does need at least repairs, but they'll be replacing the fence. We did not receive any comments from any public input on this request. But I mentioned again, the Planning Commission has approved the 2 new access drives. The I-2 zoning of the property does allow the fence to be up to 8 foot. They're not asking for an increase in height. They are not allowed to use barbed wire. That is not currently allowed within the industrial areas without approval of the zoning administrator. The chain link fence again is not permitted with that front setback area, and thus the reason for the variance. Staff, in looking at it, the fence has been there a long time. Obviously, it's been there for security purposes, needs replacement. The electrical substation that the city has is fenced in, and that fence would remain. So replacement of the existing fence is a reasonable request. So we do recommend the board approve and accept the staff proposed findings of fact and approve the variance as requested.
Are they requesting barbed wire again, or is that not part of it?
We'll ask for clarification from the applicant, but that's not my understanding. I know it's there currently.
It's amazing. As many times as I've driven by that, because my son has a business over there, I never noticed the barbed wire.
Yeah.
No, I never have either.
Yeah.
I see it in the picture.
Okay. Well, no other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Will the applicant please come forward, introduce yourself, spell your last name, and provide any additional information you care to.
Good evening. David Wolf, I'm a program manager at Continental. And the address that's at my office is 207 West or Southwest Street. So
WOLFE.
yes, excuse me. No, WOLF.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yes, as it was explained, this is to divide the business into 2 entities. They'll become 2 distinct business entities, which is why, let me walk over here, point things out, that we're adding fencing in through here and up through here, which divides this part of the building from this part of the building, so that we can have 2 businesses that are owned by 2 different entities.
Oh.
So we're adding the driveway accesses in these points here, and there'll be a gate here, here. This one here will allow in parking. This fence here is to make sure that we have truck traffic divided from car traffic, and that's part of our company's policy to do that so that we don't get any mergers of that type of thing. The gates here and here will be new. The area through here will be repaired or need, depending on what can be done, but it's going to come out and it's going to look nice when it's done. This is all new. This is all new up here. This portion up here will be temporary until land mitigation is completed in this area. As you know, the history of this site and this plant, they started making rubber here 1898. And the plant was actually built in that area. And from 1898 up to 1940, there's all the wonderful things that happened in the industry at that time. And we are working with the EPA that will all be mitigated and taken care of with the owner of that responsibility, which is Goodyear, actually. So Goodyear is actually the responsible party that's taking care of that. It's a full plan in place, and it will be taken care of. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, we're looking at it to be, good citizens, to make the sight lines from the road nicer. I don't see any need for the barbed wire, so I'll make sure that comes down. I didn't even know it was there either. So, and I'm hoping I'm not speaking out of tune for my company, but I'll take care of that. Any questions?
You answered mine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak for or against the project? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. For discussion. Agree.
I agree.
I need to tell you about, as a child, my friends and I would walk through the discharge stream that came from Auburn Rubber, and there would be muck, a foot deep that we were bare feet. We were walking through and stuff. And it was all sorts of beautiful colors. Red, yellow, green. And there was a little skim of water that would float down the top. That's why I'm
Can we
so
close the
scared.
public hearing before you tell that story?
Actually built the rubber factory there, which is the one that's coming apart where we actually make the rubber, digging all that out. At night, they had to have it patrolled because people would come out there scavenging all the old toys.
Yeah, and there were toys in the stream too.
How funny. Yeah, I could see that.
In the 40s and 50s.
Interesting. Yeah.
Steel was scarce.
Yeah, right. Okay, Gene, would you proceed with the findings of fact?
Yes, sir. The findings of fact worksheet for Continental Standards Variance, BZA Standards Variance 2025-6. Number one, the approval of variance will or will not be in jurisdiction of public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Excuse me. Thank you. Adopt the staff finding.
Yes.
Two, the use and value of the area of the property included in the variance will or will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Will not.
To adopt the staff finding.
Yes.
Three, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
And how about the staff finding?
Yes.
Approve that?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion?
To approve BZA standard variance 2025-006 as presented with the
The no barbed wire comment?
with no barbed wire as a condition.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Look forward to seeing it.
Okay.
And all that's doing, Jim, is removing you from the loop of approval at that point for the chain for the barbed wire.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Any other business?
No, sir.
July 22nd.
Well, okay, you've been busy.
Okay. Any reports? Board, staff?
No, sir.
Newspaper? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Have a nice July.
Yeah, protect yourself from the heat. Boy, yesterday was brutal.
Insulation.
That was a great, kids fall over on the plan. That's
Like you're the